I think this is going to be a giant mistake, but we'll play it anyway. The audio is not a giant mistake. The idea of the audio is a giant mistake. Jason Lloyd, he's in for Anthony Lima today. Daniel Jeremiah was on with Rich Eisen, and this is what Daniel Jeremiah had to say about the Browns quarterback position. Go.
I feel like Flacco probably has his spot reserved, and then it's going to be 3 for 2. So you got those 3 young guys competing for the 2 spots. And I would say, based off of Gabriel, where he was picked, based off of the ability, and I go back to Shedeur was my 20th player. He's a first-round caliber player. Like talent-wise, both those guys, I think, have a huge advantage over Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett has to be light years better than each of them to make the teams. To me, I think Joe Flacco is just in case they don't feel like they can be competent at the position, then you insert Joe. I think their week 1 starter is going to be, I think it's going to be one of those 2 rookies.
Oh, man, I think that's a terrible mistake. A terrible mistake in every way you could possibly think about. Again, audio courtesy of the Rich Eisen Show. I got a lot of respect for Daniel Jeremiah. Don't get me wrong. We have him on the show once or twice a year, it seems. And, again, nothing against him, but you're trying to do 2 things at once this year, Jason. You're trying to keep your vets like their heads in it. You're trying to keep them emotionally in it. They're trying to win games of some sort. I don't know how many games they're going to win. Probably not many. So you don't really know which way you're going as far as a franchise. Usually it's a lot easier. We're like, all right, we're going for it. We got to go for the gusto. Or we're getting ready for next year. We're getting ready for draft picks. We're getting ready to not win a lot of football games this year. They've sent mixed messages all throughout the wintertime. And what he says about Kenny Pickett, true. I don't know if his family members are going to send nasty tweets to Daniel Jeremiah now. But with the 2 rookies, I just think it's a bad thing to do to a third-round rookie who at times has not shown a lot on the field, but not got a lot of chances to show a lot on the field when it's come to the OTAs. And Shedeur Sanders, where, again, anybody I talk to, it's like, hey, he shows the want to learn, and he's trying as hard to learn. But he's clearly, and this is not my words, this is guys in the building's words, he's clearly behind Dillon Gabriel on nomenclature, on knowing which way to go, things like that. Like they say, the work ethic is there where he can get it, and because his talent might be better, maybe he gets that spot. And I'm going, everything you guys are telling me is way too early for a first round, or for a rookie to not be a first-round pick, to not be a first overall pick, to be starting week 1. I think that's, as of right now, maybe they could change my mind, but as of June 23rd, man, that seems insane, Jason.
If it's close, play the rookie. If it's close.
I don't think it's going to be close, and I don't think it should be close.
I don't either. I think people are dismissing Kenny Pickett far more than they should. I've said that all along. Right after the draft, I told you I thought Kenny Pickett was the starter. I still think Kenny Pickett's a starter.
I think he's started in this league?
I think he's a starter on this team. Week 1.
Those are 2 different things. All right.
I talked to Zach about this. I think there's a world where they carry all 4.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
I don't, at one time I thought Joe was the odd man out, but, Zach's kind of brought me around to where they could carry all 4 on the roster. Week 1, put it this way, by the end of the season, I've said this before, I hope Shedeur has more starts than any quarterback on this roster at the end of the season, when we get to the end of the season, because he's the only one that I look at and say he's got a chance to be a future starting quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
But that's a far different conversation than who's your starter in week 1.
I think you're doing so many things in week 1. 216-474-0092. Is it a mistake to start a rookie quarterback week 1 for this football team? I'm going to get back to the Cavs coming up at 7:22. I can promise you that. But I want to get to you guys right now. 216-474-0092. Is it a mistake to start a rookie quarterback in week 1? And for so many reasons, I think it is. I bring up the veteran part of it. You set the tone for what your future is if you start that rookie week 1 where you have a 5th-round guy or a 3rd-round guy starting. So it's not where you're taking off with a guy who is a 1st overall pick or 2nd overall pick. Like those things you can certainly understand. It's like, all right, these guys are clearly better than anything we've had in the past. It's time to move on. I don't know if they're clearly more ready. I don't think they're clearly better. I don't know if they're clearly better, and I don't know if they're clearly more ready to go than what Joe Flacco or even Kenny Pickett would be. Those guys, veterans are going to respond more to them. And since you've decided to invest in Joel Bitonio for another year, Joel Bitonio's come back because you still have Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick on your offensive line there with your veterans. While you still have veterans on your defense there. You want somebody who can know the offense without even really having to pick it up. That's a Joe Flacco. You want a guy who can know the offense because he's played in a couple of places and probably would get along decently with Kevin Stefanski, and Kevin seems to like him. That's Kenny Pickett. Like, I would see you more going in that way. If you start one of those players, and this is another thing, you might be more excited to start one of those guys. And I know this is an uphill battle with the fans because rookies are exciting. Kenny Pickett is not exciting.
Unknown.
Yes.
It's the unknown.
Joe Flacco, I think Joe Flacco, we have a lot of great feelings for him, but we know that this could very well be his last season. This is year 18. He's 40 years old. So how much excitement are you really getting? 2023, that was really exciting, but that was the second half of the season. To start off the year, I don't know if it's going to be that way. And to go with a guy like Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco, it would make more sense because now I got everybody centered. If I go out there in week 1 against the Bengals, starting Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel, and you go out and you get smoked like you have been smoked in week 1 in the past, you can get guys back. It's week 1. But I think that creeps into who made the decision here. Who made the decision on making this decision to be the quarterback of this football team? Why are we doing this? What is the point of any of us being? Like, I think you can lose a locker room without even trying very, very quickly if you start one of these two rookies right off the rip. They have to be so sensational to me, Jason, in training camp to start to change my mind. It's unfair to the team, and I think it's actually unfair to the rookies as well.
I hear you on the veteran thing. And usually I'm in that camp as well. I don't know that I am this time because Joel came back on his own accord. He knew what he was getting into. He knows exactly the room he's walking into and what the expectations are for this season, how this season's probably going to go. Miles, I don't feel sorry for anymore. He got his money. Miles, he's gotten plenty of money.
I feel sorry for him.
No, but I'm just saying, like, Miles knew what he was signing up for when he took the money. There was a lot of pain and suffering in that new contract that he signed. So, I don't feel bad for him anymore. And this is probably the last year of that offensive line being together.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where I made that argument. You got to worry about Joel Bitonio, Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, what these guys think. Well, Nick's gone. But Miles in a different category now, and Joel came back knowing this is how he's going to end his career.
But I also want to take my best foot forward in being able, because I understand that Joel's probably done after this year, more than likely. Like 90%, I'm sure that he's done. Wyatt Teller could be in another place. Ethan Posta could be in another place by the end of all this. But damn it, like you've started this year with veterans. I also have to assess, all right, what's Kevin really got? What's Andrew Berry really got? Those guys also need to be assessed in this. And I'm sure that as of right now, and they should be, as of right now, there is no hot seat. They should be safe.
If you're going to fire him last year, there's no reason to fire him. There's no reason to fire him this year.
Exactly. But when we get to December and things like that, like things start to change, I want them to have the best chance for it. I think naturally you'll get to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? It's been some time. Let's put the rookies in. Let's see what some of these rookies can do. I think naturally you'll be there. I don't think week 1's the place for it.
The Browns left this draft thinking they're taking their quarterback of the future next year.
Yes.
So it's on Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders to change their mind. They can't do that in 2 or 3 starts. If they get 2 or 3 starts, Browns will take another quarterback next year at the top of the first round.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
And which is why it goes back to I hope that Shedeur has the most starts of any of these quarterbacks by the end of the season, because you got to have some sort of sample size to evaluate these guys.
But this is what I say that some people, they either don't want to hear or they don't hear, and I have to keep repeating myself, is Kevin is going to get a chance to see, and has already had this chance to see, way more of these guys than any of us are ever going to.
Absolutely.
If they can't, I think this is the most open quarterback job in the NFL.
For sure.
Okay, if neither of these guys can do what it takes to make everybody feel comfortable and going, he can defend himself and run the offense, go right on ahead, then we don't need to see him. I do not need to see him over there at Huntington Bank Field or any other stadium for that matter. If they can't, you get it. You understand.
I totally hear what you're saying, and I agree with that. But again, then they're taking a quarterback at the top of the next year.
Yeah,
if Shedeur,
and that's fine.
If Shedeur starts 3 games this year and Dylan Gabriel starts 2 or 3 games, they're taking a quarterback next year because they have no faith in either one of these guys.
And frankly, and honestly, I'm fine with that. I just don't want them to be put in a position where it's like, all right, let's just rip off the Band-Aid and see where we're at. I think there's been so many times we've just done this and just done that, and it's turned into a complete disaster for the football team. I don't want to put them in a bad spot, and I certainly don't want to put the rest of the team in the bad spot. It's like, can we just for once have guys go out there and, hey, show me what you got in practice every day, on the field, off the field, behind the scenes. Let me pick, because this is as open as it gets, and let's see whether or not you can actually do it and actually earn the position instead of, well, we got no other recourse for it, and we want to put some people in the seat, so let's go ahead and start Dummy over here and see whether or not Dummy can go ahead and do it. Because in the last 25 years, old Dummy hadn't been able to do it. So I don't want to do that to just Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders.
You have this The only thing that matters for the Browns right now is figuring out quarterback. That's it. Nothing else matters about this season. It doesn't matter how many games they win. They're not going to the playoffs. They're not winning the Super Bowl. So it does it matter if you win 3 games or if you win 6 or 7? Really, does it really matter? No, it really doesn't matter. All you're doing is put yourself in a better position to try and find the franchise quarterback. The only thing that matters for the Cleveland Browns in 2025 is trying yet again to answer the quarterback position. That's it.
When I hear Daniel Jeremiah, if we can cue this up, when I hear Daniel Jeremiah go on Rich Eisen's show and say, this, I become very, very nervous of the season stopping before it even starts.
I feel like Flacco probably has his spot reserved, and then it's going to be 3 for 2. So you got those 3 young guys competing for the 2 spots. And I would say, based off of Gabriel, where he was picked, based off of the ability, and I go back to Shedeur was my 20th player. He's a first-round caliber player. Like talent-wise, both those guys, I think, have a huge advantage over Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett has to be light years better than each of them to make the teams. To me, I think Joe Flacco is just in case they don't feel like they can be competent at the position, then you insert Joe. I think their week 1 starter is going to be, I think it's going to be one of those 2 rookies.
Hey, listen, again, I cannot say it enough. I respect Daniel Jeremiah. I respect his opinion. I think it's a colossal mistake.
What if it's close?
I'd still start the veteran.
For how long?
As long as the wheels came off. As long as it took for the wheels to come off. And if that's a week, then fine. I guess I lost on the week. I go with the veteran. You know what I would honestly do, and guys do this? Can I talk to Joe Bitonio alone? Can I talk to Wyatt alone? Can I talk to – I'm serious. Can I talk to one of those guys alone? Guys I trust.
Yeah.
DeJuan someday, I think, has the character to be one of those guys at some point, especially with what he's done during the offseason. You can tell he's taken his career very seriously.
He looks phenomenal.
I love DeJuan Jones. Good God. I hope people can understand that every single time I talk about him. Good God, I can't wait for his future and to see what he's capable of. I hope that he's one of those guys, but I'm talking to one of the veterans on the offensive line going, you trust this kid? Do you? Do you trust him with your final year in the NFL to not make a mockery of it? To not start this thing off on the wrong foot. I mean, let's put our cards out here on the table. We know what this football team has been. Yeah. We've had a couple of ups and we've had some terrible downs here over the last 6 years with Kevin Stefanski. And I think that you look at your veterans, it's a workplace. There's people that you trust. There's guys you don't trust. You pull them aside quietly. Do you trust this kid? Do you trust him over Joe? Assuming Joe is the guy right now, right?
Yeah.
Would you trust him over Joe? Well, maybe not, but can you trust him as much as Joe? Can you trust him with this offense to put this kid out here? Maybe not kid, young man. Say it however you want to. And if they can tell me yes, maybe I'd change my mind. But I don't know what those guys are thinking right now. And I'm hard-pressed to believe before week 1, the other veterans on the team be like, yeah, go throw Junior out there.
Well, no. The veterans are always going to want the veteran.
Yes. And
usually,
that's
usually.
why I go, guys, we had 17 games in 18 weeks. What's the rush?
Yeah.
What's the rush?
Well, the rush is you have 17 chances to evaluate him before you have to make another decision.
But honestly, do you even need that as much? I didn't need 17 chances to evaluate DTR. I didn't need 17 chances to evaluate Colt McCoy. I didn't need 17 chances to evaluate any of these guys, basically, over these last how many years with the Cleveland Browns. Baker, because he was a first overall pick, actually needed more than 17 chances to evaluate, considering how Jekyll and Hyde his career has been. But the other guys, no, I don't have the time, and I don't know if they deserve all the time given to them to warrant that much.
The worst thing that could happen, I believe, this year, start 7 games. Mystery quarterback X, I don't care which one, Dylan, Shedeur, whatever.
Yeah.
Start 6, 7 games, 8 games. You look at it and go, there's some flashes there. I think there's a chance. That's the worst thing that could happen this year. They both need to be terrible or one of them needs to be great. Because if you start trying to talk yourself into,
yeah, but
I think they got something.
There's another
here.
side to this is that you and I are going to have to watch football on Saturdays too. And I'm going to see Lenore Sellers. I'm going to go, hey, there ain't nothing about him that I'm talking about flashes with. I'm going to go ahead and take that kid. Or I'm going to say the same thing about Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, or one of the other guys out there.
You say that now.
Damn sure I say it now because I'm sure. You know what? I probably said it in 2011 and 2013 and 2015 and 2017. Yep. I said it all them years.
Shedeur goes out and throws for 310 and 2 touchdowns in one game. In one game, that's all it's going to take.
How many? What's the stats again?
310, 2 or 3 touchdowns in one game.
He throws for 310
in one game.
Is that that's obviously going to be a Sunday afternoon game. That's the only time they play.
That's the only time they play,
unless it's overseas. then it's a 9:30 game.
And
Okay,
now
he throws-
you got
If
people
he
trying
throws
to
for 310 and 2 touchdowns,
But they're on the metric system over there, so isn't it less? How's
it's
that
just
work?
this for
Wait a minute. No, yards are metric, aren't
Oh.
they? Damn it.
if he does that. This is
No,
all
yards
Monday
aren't
morning.
metric,
Get ready.
you weirdo. Yards are the English system. Metrics are meters.
Oh, okay. What a meter sticks is a yard anyway, isn't it?
No.
So doesn't he still throw for 310 meters?
No, it's
Isn't a meter just a
3.03.
yard?
No, it's a little bit.
It's totally different.
A little
know.
bit bigger. Just a teeny bit
What's
bigger.
wrong with you?
I haven't done math in 18 years. The hell are you talking about? You think I know this? Turn the music up. I'm just going to listen to the music for a second.
So that's all Monday will be.
Yeah.
It's
Try and
this.
recompose
And then
you.
Ken's
He
gonna
is
walk
right.
in and he's go, shut up, baby! Ah! Super Bowl! Super Bowl! Where'd my voice go? That's it. That's the Monday show. Congratulations.
I've never heard a good impression of me. That was an incredible impression of me because that's exactly what I would do.
Tone, will you believe it?
He knows me.
He's not wrong.
He knows me very well. Tony in Mansfield, hello.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are
Hi,
you doing?
Tony. Yes.
Yeah, Ken. So I tend to agree with you. The only thing is what if, well, one, if either of the rookies don't win the starting job, don't we assume that they're going to draft the quarterback anyways? Because, I mean, the standard is Joe Flacco, what we're saying right now. So it's like, how good are they really if they can't even win the starting spot out with competing against Joe Flacco? And they're going to see that, like you said, in, camp leading up through preseason. Like, we don't need to see them really if it's kind of like the DTR thing.
Yeah.
Now, that's kind of the problem, though, is we don't even really need to see them because if they can't beat out Joe Flacco, then they're not good enough anyways. Now, let's say they are good enough. Would you still consider starting Joe Flacco through the gauntlet in the beginning of the year, maybe to get them comfortable with, just game day prep, seeing the actual Sundays and the routine?
Tony, I've waffled back and forth about that because I'm
it's
a
hard.
protectionist with these rookies because I keep going back to like Deshaun Kaiser. I'm like that poor kid never had a chance, for the love
We've
of God.
seen the history.
But I still think the NFL is the NFL in so many ways, and yes, there are teams that are better than others, but it's not like, okay, we're going to take on Arkansas State this week, or Arkansas State's a prod program. We're going to take on Slappy U this week, and then next week we got to play Penn State. Like, it's not like that. Like, there is not that big of a difference. So it's like, all right, would I start them against the Saints instead of against the Eagles? Well, they're both going to be tough teams that are both made of professionals that are going to be trying to go out there and take his head off. So it's like, can he protect himself against these football teams? Can he protect himself in the NFL? Can he run can he run the offense? Can he get rid of the football? Can he make the right decisions and not kill our offense and put our defense in bad positions? If I have faith in him to do that, then I'll go ahead and I'll do that. I just don't feel like I'm going to be in a position to really believe that they're going to be able to do that in week one.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
And even if Shador or Dylan Gabriel is considerably better than Joe Flacco, which we're hoping, right? I would still possibly sit them the first couple of games until the wheels fall off, because I think that could happen sooner rather than later with Joe Flacco, unfortunately.
Yeah,
love him to
it's
death.
possible, yeah.
So even if they are better, I could justify still sitting them for a couple games just to kind of get them into it, and it might help them a little bit better, get them kicked off. And just to see what we're going to be doing next year, because, I mean, this is I agree with Jason. I mean, all we're worried about this year is finding our quarterback.
Well,
So,
and I'll tell you this, Tony. Tony, you're right about this. And can I go back to Joe Flacco for just a second? Because I want to get one more in, and then I want to get back to the Cavs for a second. Joe's as big as a wild card as anybody when it comes to a veteran. Like, in that run in 2023, I remember the Bears game where it's like, oh, my God, how did he complete that pass? And then I also remember the Jets game where he basically hands it off to a defensive lineman. Like, he can be a bit of a wild card in his own right. That's why he's in the position where he's in throughout his career. So you have to evaluate it properly. Like, if he could very well go out there in training camp and look like garbage, and then all of a sudden I gotta make a decision here.
He wasn't.
I don't think he will, but he very well could.
Yeah, I actually want to go back to something else about like throwing these guys in. You mentioned Deshaun Kaiser. Kaiser was 21 when they threw him out there. Dylan Gabriel's 24
years old. He's more. Yes, he's an adult.
Shador's 23. Like how long?
He's 22.
He's 23.
Oh.
How long do we have to baby these guys? They're 23 and 24 years old.
Not the entire season, but they were still taken later than he was. And this is by the same group, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least, no, Andrew was part of that group, but I don't think he was not the general manager yet.
No,
that took
the
Deshaun Kaiser.
Yeah, no.
But he was in the building at that time.
I think there's a stark difference between, I mean, what's everyone say about Dylan Gabriel? The 61 starts, whatever it is that he's made in
a whole
college.
bunch with 3 different programs. He knows a lot of football.
Yeah, he knows a ton of football. And Shador, obviously growing up under Deion. Like, these are not 21-year-old guys with 1 year of starting experience.
Those are things that help them. That's why it would open up my eyes a little bit more. But
if it's close, I'd throw the rookie out there. Week 1. What do you got to lose?
I don't think I would.
Football games?
Jim and Strong. I got jobs to lose. Are you kidding? I got faith to lose in the guys I'm trying to lead.
If you were going to fire him, you'd have fired him last year. You're not going to fire him now.
Doesn't mean they won't make the decision by the end of January or by the beginning of January.
You're not going to fire him now. I do believe
you're not going to fire him now in June, but you could very well fire him in December or, God, even worse, earlier in the year. You don't want to do that.
I do think that there is, well, first of all, trading down from 3 to 5 is not a move anyone makes if they're in fear of losing their job. So clearly there's no fear of this is a make or break season.
No.
But you do have to trust that Jimmy's not going to make an emotional reactionary decision in October. And there is a lot of faith. You have to put a lot of faith in that.
Do you think Sasha was surprised when he got let go?
I've talked to people in that building who got a glowing review and got fired 2 weeks later.
Well, there you go. Jim and Strong's, you just made your argument against yourself.
No,
Jim and Strong's.
I get it, but I'm also saying.
Jason, enough. I'm up, buddy. Come on. Okay?
He's going to hang up on him. Jason's going to hang up on him. He doesn't know what button to push. He doesn't know what button to push.
Jason, it's bad enough that you were making fun of Ken about a yard not being the same as a meter. It's 900th of a yard more yardage.
That's enough.
You can't. Wait a minute. You're going to mess up the button.
I hope it's on camera of Jason with his old guy glasses on, staring.
Jason, don't touch. You're going to mess up. My
97-year-old grandfather, Jason Lloyd, in today.
Listen. The IT guys are not going to come in early because you messed up the call box. So stop touching the mouse and let me get this thing fixed. Even I'm not very good at it.
He has this look of, did I get it?
Did I get it?
He's on the wrong thing, too. Jim, you're next up in the fan. Go ahead. We lost Jim because he's on B now. All right, Owen.
I love it.
You have the con. Let me put him on. All right, I got to put Jim back on hold, which means we're never going to get Jim back again.
I've sent Jim off to the abyss.
Here. All right.
Am I here?
He's still talking. He's been talking this whole time.
Oh, my God.
No, I wasn't talking. Alexa, mute. I started listening again because I thought you hung up on me.
Now I hung up on you.
He figured it out.
What are you doing?
I figured it out.
There's a protocol to this. He's got to hit the thing first before you hang up on people. They don't know.
That was for you, Jason.
Well, now they know.
Unless Jim Ross speaks, they think they're still on the air.
Well, good. Let them think he's still on the air.
You can't just hang up on Jim because he's insulting you. He's just going to call into the afternoon show and insult you there. And you can't do anything about that then.
It's fine.
Yeah, but I wanted to get to the Cavs.
Jim, go to your free Odyssey app. There's a coming in hotline over there. Jason can't stop me over there. Go leave that.
We're going to get back to this. I promise this. But it's 60 seconds.
Spilled coffee.
Let me ask you this, because it's going to come up in about last night, I'm sure.
All right.
Tyrese Halliburton out for next year. Jason Tatum already out for next year. Is this the year for the Cavs, whether they like it or not, whether they're ready or not?
Absolutely. I mean, the clock in the 2 years before they have to start making the really hard roster decisions tells you it's now or never.
Like, I hope Evan Mobley sees this. It's like you don't want to take advantage of injury, but you got to see this and be like, it's
an opportunity.
It's your time.
It's an opportunity.